Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by Pat Barrett. Pat, been to nearly every gym now. I think yours is, the final one. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Busy old gym. Mixture of people in today. I want to touch on Danny Simpson first. It takes a lot to come from that background, professional footballer, former Premier League winner, and he's now stepping into unknown territory, stepping into a boxing ring. How's he sort of adapted and how's he got on in this last 4 weeks since he's been here?
To be quite honest with you, it is a bit of a journey, and it has been a uphill climb for him because considering he just walked in the gym and says, obviously I know the promoter, I know Nissy, and he asked me where to train this kid. I know his dad, and I know of Danny, and I know who he is from back in the day, and I think for him to be doing boxing, and for what he is a winner just for saying yeah, for taking a fight with only 4 weeks' notice, considering he's never ever boxed before. I mean, I know I've done it before with Zelfa and Lyndon, but it's different levels. I mean, Zelfa touched down for the world title fight with only 4 weeks' notice and was winning, and Lyndon fought Bivol with only 4 weeks' notice, and then to actually train someone who's never boxed before and give him 4 weeks to get him ready for the fight, it's like, but give credit where credit's due. He's been like a sponge. He's soaked everything up. He's adapted to a lot of things. His first time I watched him spar, getting punched in the face, and he kind of enjoyed it, he said. And then the second time I watched him spar, he got better. So the times I've watched him sparring, he's improving. He's you know what? His determination is unbelievable. That's, to me, is everything in boxing. I mean, you can have all the skill in the world, but if you're determined, you can't beat that.
We mentioned just in the build-up to that, obviously, Zelfa and where he's at. Last time, we just done an interview with him, said last time we spoke to you, we were in the dressing room after the fight, after a terrific performance against Jordan Gill. I was sort of like saying, where is he at? I feel like there's fights happening in and around him. And why I feel like he's sort of the missing part of this sort of puzzle now, who's waiting to get his shot, waiting to get his fight. I asked him about the Kakachi fight. He says, yeah, I'd have been down for that. He says, if Leewood's available, sign me up. From your point of view, where are we at and how sort of frustrating is this time period? Because you want to capitalise on that performance.
You know what, 100%. I mean, there was talk about Gill fighting for the world title when he beat Conland, and there was talk about that, and even what's it called, said, well, look, before they lost the world title to Kakacha, he even said, Cardino even said, well, look, you can't just jump in front of people like that. You have to prove that you will be. And I think a lot of people had Zelfa beaten in that fight before, apart from myself and Zelfa. Looking at how he beat him, he didn't just beat him, it was a beautiful body shot that he threw, and it was one of them things that we worked on in the gym. So yeah, it is frustrating that Zelfa is not really, I mean, when he did get his world title shot, it wasn't really a world title shot, it was a replacement stepping. And I think he deserves it, and he's earned it, and by rights, it's what Eddie should be giving him really, but who are we to say?
You think they're missing a trick a bit with him in terms of it's hard to go to Manchester to put on a show, like it is difficult, especially in days like this with tickets and stuff like that, but that event was a good event and there was a lot of people turned out, a lot of celebrities ringside. He got a decent crowd out, and the fight that he put on, it was a mature performance and he picked his shots nicely. Do you think now's the time really to jump on him and say, look, although these are fighting this up, this is what we can offer you. Let's get you back out. Let's get you on in Saudi, maybe on a Bivol card or the Jack Cattrall card. Let's kick on now kind of thing. Because he's at that age where he just says, look, I don't want 4 weeks. I need to be given proper time. I'm not going to short myself ever again kind of thing. It needs to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It needs to happen. And it's like I said, not being in that situation to make it happen for him, it's very difficult. But without going on and bitching about it, and let's start saying what somebody else should be doing. We all know what somebody else should be doing, and we all know that person can make things happen if they wanted to make them happen. And I don't know why they're not making them happen. So I mean, these fights out there for Zelfa. So I mean, even what's it called, I think you would.
Lee Wood?
Lee Wood, even Lee Wood would be a good fight for Zelfa. And you know, I don't know why they won't make that fight.
Perfect time as well, you think, with the fight falling through with Josh and Lee. Lee's currently, I suppose, maybe in a similar situation to Zelfa, where he bounced up into this weight division, and Zelfa needs a fight as well, and they're both a decent name.
You know what? It's like I just said, we should be promoters ourselves and make these things happen ourselves, because we seem to have the right ideas, but we just can't make them happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In terms of everything else, Lyndon Arthur, what's going on with Lyndon now? Is there a route back for him to sort of get his way into another big fight last night against Liam Cameron? What's next for him?
You know what? I don't know, but the fight that I would like to see would be a domestic fight between Lyndon and Danny Simpson. I mean, that would be a great fight, and I think that would be a fight that people want to see. And you know, again, you know, it's something that should be put on the horizon, because Lyndon needs to be back in that mix. Danny Simpson needs to be back in that mix. So they're both really coming off losses, and you know, and both the performances. Like I said, I think Lyndon's performance was okay. Could have been a lot better. I think Danny Simpson's performance was a bit, what you call it, but I know Danny Simpson's got a lot more to offer. So I don't go off with that performance 100%, but it would be great to see. That's the fight I'd like to see.
Yeah. Would you be interested ever in an Anthony Hard trilogy? You know, the one apiece. He's currently as well seemingly out in the cold with whatever's going on between himself and Frank, and I suppose legals and stuff, but that's a fight that makes sense as well, isn't it? It's a big fight.
100%, 100%. I mean, like I just said, you know, on the surroundings, these them kind of fights. But I mean, the fight that I would like Lyndon to have, and it's been spoke about, and it would be good to see. And I think a lot of people would like to see it, and I have seen it on the Twitter thing, even though I'm not a social media person. Yeah. It's just what I've been shown.
Yeah.
It would be that fight. Styles make fights for both of them.
100%. Look, I want to get your opinion just on a couple of big fights that are coming up. A huge card going on at Wembley. Joshua, Dubois. Daniel's on good trajectory at the minute. He's put a couple of good wins together. AJ looks rejuvenated a bit under Ben Davison, put in a couple of clinical performances. I know the Ngannou fight's like, you don't really know what you can take from it, but he was destructive in there. How do you see that main event? It's interesting as we're approaching it.
I know what, I think I'll sit on the fence on this, because you know what, I know both boxers and I like both of them, and it's very hard. I just know with an heavyweight it just takes one punch, and any heavyweight can tell you that anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, look, Daniel Dubois, from where he's come back from, he's done great. Joshua, from where he's come back from, regardless what, he's done great. So I'll sit on the fence on this one, for both of them. Fury
Usyk rematch coming up in December. Tyson obviously dealing with something he hadn't had to deal with in his career yet, a defeat. He was winning rounds in that fight. What are you thinking in terms of the rematch? What's he got to do differently in this rematch to change his fortune?
You know what, Tyson. I believe I've worked with Tyson before, and one thing I learned about Tyson, he's got one of the best mindsets ever. What he says he can do, he can do. And I just think that fight, really, the frustration, confusion, in my eyes, and you know, this is just my opinion. I think when you've got such a big fight, and then you've got too many people, too many voices in your head, it's also confusing. And I also do believe that you know, that Sugar Hill is a very, very good trainer, and they're a very good team, and that's what he should be doing, really, just basically. But as far as I'm concerned, Tyson will win the rematch. I will probably. I'm not a gambling man, but if I were, yeah.
Outside of your stable, outside of these fights that are happening, who does Pat Barrett like watching boxing? As in, like, when there's a big fight coming up, who's the one fighter aside from your own stable, obviously, because you're involved, who you go, you know what, I have to watch that fight. You know, don't matter if it's domestically in America. Who's the one fighter that you enjoy watching the most outside of your stable?
I think it'd only be someone like Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Terence Crawford because he reminds me of the old throwback fighters. He's like an Agler or something like that. You know, he's got that kind of really positive mindset. No matter what you say, he feeds off your negativity. You tell him he's not going to do something, I can see him. He's getting stronger because he's been doubted for so long, and people have been saying whatever about him for so long, and what he's doing now, even when they talk about the Canelo fight, I'm like, well, you know what? You could do anything you want because just because of the size, it's not about the size of the person, it's about the intelligence of the person, it's about the brain power. So, I mean,
Terence, coming on to that, I wasn't going to ask you, but I want to know because you touched on it. If he does fight Canelo, you obviously pound for pound, both are up there in the pound for pounds. But if he makes that step up in weight, you give him more than a chance in that fight.
100%, because like I just said, boxing's about being clever. You know, it's like, here's another way I look at something. It's like a fly on a cow, yeah, and its tail, it gets wafted off that many times, yeah, but it never gets hit, right? Well, that's gonna be like Terence Crawford is gonna be the fly, and he's gonna be the bull, and he ain't gonna be able to hit. You know what I mean? You can't knock out what you can't hit.
No, that's fair. It's a good analogy as well. Pat, I appreciate your time. Thanks for having us down here. Enjoyed speaking to Danny and Zelfa. We'll catch up again soon when obviously you've got some news and fingers crossed a big fight for Zelfa. Appreciate it.
Thanks.